To your point, I think the site creates some sort of interesting boundary, that I don't know, it seems to cause you to approach the relationship different. For me, the thing that I like the most and was surprised about is it seems to put a lot of honesty towards the front of the conversation. Whereas I feel like the swiping apps are a bunch of games and a lot of time spent playing coy or don't reply for a long time. It's like, I know you have your fucking phone.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the #1 sugar dating podcast in the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good, the bad, and Kimmy, the shocking stories of sugar dating. Kimmy rolled in. She got a little half shirt on. I can almost see underboob. What's going on there?
You know, the regular schmegular. Gotta keep my wardrobe on fleek so you know.
Yeah. So you've been traveling a lot?
Yeah, I went to LA for Christmas. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous. Miss it.
I saw some great photos. You guys you went swimming.
Yeah, in the ocean in sunset.
In the middle of the winter.
Yeah.
How was it? Was it really cold?
Freezing cold.
I
It
can't
was
believe you guys jumped
crazy,
in.
but the adrenaline was real. I mean, that was the best Christmas of my life.
You went and surprised a friend out there.
Yeah,
I saw a
so we stopped being friends 6 months ago, and then we made up, and then I decided I was going to go surprise her for Christmas because she was going to spend it alone. She told me, she's like, oh, I'm going to be alone this Christmas. I don't know. I'm probably going to go Instacart. Like, she had no plans, nothing crazy. So we went out there, surprised her. She was, oh my gosh, she was so happy. She cried.
Well, I saw video. I almost cried.
Aww.
That was really touching. That was a very kind thing you did there.
Aw, thank you.
So just to let our audience know, Kimmy has a heart of gold. I've witnessed it.
You are Marcus has a heart of gold.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lily couldn't join us today, and I wasn't sure if you were going to be here. So you know what I did?
What?
I rounded up a guest.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got a email, and I get quite a few emails, and I've got a lot of people to get back to. So if you really, really want to be on the show, keep bugging me, and I'd love to have you as a guest. But last minute, this gentleman from Colorado decided to help me out and be our guest today. So welcome, Pete. How are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
So Pete wrote me, you know what, I don't have the email in front of me, but this is about all I know about Pete, is that he is a sugar daddy from Colorado. So can you get us caught up? First of all, I want to know how long you've been in the lifestyle, and then kind of what your background is where you could actually afford to be in the lifestyle, because I know that and you know that it ain't cheap.
Yeah, nothing's cheap these days.
Yeah.
So I basically only have been doing this since the summer, and I wouldn't say that I'm in the world of sugar daddies. I'm definitely a small fish in a big pond, I'm assuming.
There are definitely different levels of sugar daddies.
Yeah, I don't have a B. I don't even have an M yet. But the thing is, I'm divorced. My story is not that dissimilar from yours, I think, from listening to the other episodes. I got married in 2017 and then divorced in 2019. And it was like, I mean, sugar dating may be expensive, but at least you can keep at least you can control the throttle a little bit.
Right.
About like how the burn rate. Whereas with my marriage, I totally lost the ability to do that. So for me, marriage was an incredibly expensive endeavor, and it just kind of reset my feelings a little bit about what I need out of a relationship and what I'm capable of giving right now. I mean, kind of in a little bit of a rebuilding phase after getting divorced. So I don't think I have the capacity to be monogamous or in a long-term committed relationship right now. I don't know. I kind of found my way to sugar dating. I would say it's kind of mostly by chance or maybe process of elimination, not necessarily wanting to just pay for intimacy, I guess, but or physical intimacy. But for me, I don't know. My divorce was so expensive, it really reset my opinion about what things cost, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. I ended up doing an 80-20 split. It was not 80% on my part. She
Oh,
got,
no.
yeah. But I did a wise thing. I mean, it was getting so expensive. There was multiple lawyers involved. We were fighting over multiple properties. I ended up taking all the debt and the properties and basically buying her out, and she ended up with like 3 of them. So she's got 7 figures now. She's retired and well off. But people looked at me crazy, like, why would you take that split? Well, there's a few reasons. I had to end this. It was
Yeah.
just going on and on and on, and we
Yeah.
had to start a new life. And then second, I just had confidence in the real estate. Yeah, I took on the debt of the real estate, but I knew that it was going to appreciate. And sure enough, the last few years, I finally maybe caught up with this, with the deal that I made with her, and I feel okay now. But yeah, divorce is messy and expensive.
Yeah, it blew my mind how bad it got. Like you said, the fighting, and we didn't have like multiple lawyers or anything, but she just dragged her heels a lot during the process, and it made it more emotionally painful.
Yeah,
Whereas, like, I didn't file for divorce until I was totally positive that there was no
right,
reconciling.
right.
So at that point, if I was a guy on a plane, I just wanted to jump out and pull my parachute. I was like, get me the fuck out of here.
So Kimmy, what's your thoughts on marriage?
That's a really interesting thing you brought up there. I don't know if I believe in marriage. Personally, I did when I was broke, and now that I make money, I'm like, I don't know if I believe in marriage for a few reasons. I think it's really just a business agreement. What life is and what love is, you don't need to sign some paperwork.
Well,
for
I'm
that.
not anti-marriage, and I'm certainly open to it in the future, but I'm just finding it hard to find that one sole person that's going to make me complete.
Yeah.
I don't.
I,
I've lost faith that that person is out there. Now I've met many people who I've fallen in love with, and we could make it work, but it feels like there's a hole, that there's just something missing. I don't know.
well, I think to your point, Kimmy, a marriage, my understanding, which I'm not a historian, but my understanding is like marriage came from like it was a business, it was literally a business agreement to like protect assets and protect family money and stuff like that. And people would be married off and whatever. And in America, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, I think this is a good thing, but with more equality among the sexes, it's like, I don't think I don't think the process of dissolving a marriage has necessarily caught up with the fact that people, you have dual incomes, or, like my wife came from family money, my ex-wife. And so it was just messy. I mean, I don't, and I wish, I don't know, I joke with some friends of mine about like, they should make the process for getting into a marriage the same the process for currently getting out, and then we should make the process for getting out the way that you get in, because like me and one friend and some wedding coordinator signed a piece of paper in a back room, like, well, drunk, you know what I mean? Like that shit was finalized, but we had to submit like hundreds of pages of financial information to get out. So
Boy, I completely.
I'm not
Yeah, I
yeah.
completely relate to that. So my ex-wife and I, we went to Vegas. We got married by the civil commissioner. It was her, then my ex-wife and me. And when we got done with the ceremony, we heard this clapping in the corner by the door, and there was the security guard with his leg jacking open the door so he could watch the front. And we looked over there, and Barbara said, "That's your witness."
Yeah, totally.
So it was Ed, the security guard, Barbara, the commissioner, and me and my ex-wife.
You would get married in Vegas. I'm not even
Hey,
surprised.
it was $500 all in,
Oh,
done,
nice.
boy. But the exit,
Yeah, it's much more expensive.
I just personally,
Yeah.
I feel that obviously we're on a sugar dating podcast and this is a very common type of relationship, but I think that whatever relationship you're in, you need to make sure your partner is built to a similar level as you, so they have stakes just as deep in the relationship as you do, because otherwise divorce, it happens statistically, is inevitable, right? So
Yeah, I went in massively miscalculating the risks.
I think
Like,
I think
like
we all did. What age were you when you got married? Not to beat this horse to the death, but I'm just
yeah,
curious.
no, I mean, I'm 38 now. I was 33 when I got married.
That's how old I was. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, the one thing I kind of, I don't know, it's okay with me, but it fell apart really quickly. So for me, at least it didn't last 2 decades.
Yeah.
But I'm not against marriage either. I think if you can make it work, or if, like you said, Kimmy, if everybody has stake in the game, then it's all good.
All right. So where are you at financially? Like, how did you get to this point where you decided to go sugar dating and could afford that lifestyle?
Yeah, so I'm a software engineer, or like somewhere between a software engineer and a software consultant.
Okay.
I've been running my own business for like 10 years. Kind of before that, I've always had kind of the entrepreneurial bug, like when I was in high school and college, I ran some small, like really small businesses. But I've always kind of had that bug. So,
Did you come from money or did you work into this?
oh God, no, I wish that would have helped. But no, my family's pretty modest. I mean, like middle class,
Yeah.
working class.
Well,
And
the
then
reason I
just,
ask is because, we have tons of listeners from all over the world, and I think they're just as interested on how the sugar daddies became financially where they could afford this lifestyle and what they did to
Yeah.
become successful because, you're just dealing with a different tier of people when in the sugar dating world versus swiping sites.
Yeah.
Literally on Tinder, you could live in a cardboard box underneath a bridge and you
Yeah.
could create a profile. You don't know who you're swiping on.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing what I've been doing since I graduated from college. So I got a really early start on my career. So when I graduated, I was in an office setting when I was 22. That hasn't been great for my mental health, but it's been all right financially.
Yeah.
So,
Well, very
you know,
good. All right. So you started trying to date again after the divorce.
so post divorce, it's kind of like you said, it's like the swiping apps, and I met some people locally. So I went on a couple of dates where I met somebody in person. Then I dated a friend of a friend for like 5 months or so casually.
Was this a blind date setup?
No, we met through.
Oh.
She just introduced us, and so we went out and hit it off, and ended up we were both coming out of relationships, so it kind of worked. And then I don't know. I've been, like I said, doing a little bit of rebuilding, kind of putting my life back together. And as I was doing that, I was like, I think the time spent on the swiping apps versus the results you're getting is totally skewed, in my opinion. It's kind of a time suck, and I can make pretty good money if I can stay busy. So for me, it was like, this is distracting from me getting back on track in terms of taking care of myself and I lost my house and my divorce and stuff. So I'm just trying to get myself back to things being stabilized.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I was like, I think I'm emotionally back in a place where I want to be close with people or have intimacy in my life. So I was trying to kind of figure out how to solve that, right? I mean, not that it's a problem to be solved, but I've moved around a lot in the last 5 years. So my friend group has kind of become either long distance or else not local to where I'm at. And so, meeting people during the pandemic and stuff like that, I don't know, just in some ways easier, like you've called out, Marcus, but in some ways a little trickier. So a little less social stuff going on. So for me, I think I kind of came into sugar dating I had a moment, maybe it was clarity or maybe it was desperation. I'm not real sure. But I had a moment where I kind of figured out like, okay, I'm getting to the point where I'd be willing to pay for some intimacy, but
Yeah.
that doesn't quite sit well with me in terms of that's not the only part I'm looking for,
Right. Yeah.
So to me, I get along easily with a lot of people. I think the thing I've learned that I need to be careful of is I fall in love really easy and I don't protect myself. So,
Well, I think that's very common. Actually, a lot of guys on the site. Kimmy encounters that almost daily. You meet men on the site and they're just like, they're professing their love for you.
Yeah, it happens. It happens for sure. I mean,
What are your thoughts that go through your head when somebody moves too quick?
I don't blame him. I mean, what are you just kidding? Well, I think that some people just feel deeply. That's it. I personally have, I don't know what it is about the site, but I have, besides my ex, I think the reason I fell for him was because he was one of the first people I ever met off the site. And so I was not even like used to like the whole like lifestyle of
you hadn't had a chance to test the waters.
But like I don't think I've ever really fallen for anybody off the side. People excite me, but I think that there's I don't know. I'm also very picky. I feel like, you've known me for how long, and there's only really one person that I've had actual genuine interest in.
Right, but you didn't meet him there.
No. So I think that it makes it a little tough. I don't know if all women agree. I know Lily, on the other hand, she's had a few guys that she's had deeper, I don't know if she's had deep feelings for a lot of these guys.
Well, the reason I bring that up, and going off of what Pete said, that he falls in love quickly, and I think a lot of us guys actually do too, because we would want to find that, that person that we can take to, with us to events and having fun nights out. But it scares the girls off when you move too quickly.
Yeah.
And it happens to you all the time. It happens to us all the time. It happens to my other co-host, Amy, all the time.
You mean it happens to Lily all the time?
Yeah, Lily all the time. And men just have to be really, really careful to take it slow, let it grow, and then don't scare them off. So have you encountered where you've found somebody and then maybe you scared them off a little bit, Pete?
Yeah, especially like when I was younger. I think that was a big part of what I was doing wrong.
We all do it when we're younger.
Yeah. So I think this has been a big like divorce. I mean, not to be stuck on it, but it was a big growth catalyst for me to like figure out a bunch of stuff about myself and just reevaluate how I was prioritizing like time and energy and stuff. And right. I think to your point, it's like you get, I don't know. I'm like eternally optimistic. So when I meet somebody that I like or have fun with, it feels easy.
That's not a bad thing. That's actually a really good thing.
That's awesome. Personally, what happened to me recently, I got off the site, as I talked about, like, I don't know, 5-6 episodes ago. And I still had people from my past that I had been currently seeing or was currently seeing, and then stopped, all of a sudden freak out on me and be like, what are you doing? You're just like, you're now going celibate. They just freaked out, right? And then I was like, well, I mean, I still enjoy spending time with you. I'd be down to just be friends. And, with that, I don't want to get, an allowance. Like, we can just be friends. So I become friends with some of these guys, and now I find myself actually liking them. So I'm like, now it's like, then I'll start thinking about them a little more. It's very interesting how this switch has, what the effects it's had on me.
It's funny because I'm thinking about your dermatologist friend, and once you kind of got past the pressure of the sexual tension, and now you guys just banter back and forth like,
we're like brothers,
buddies.
sisters. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And
it's
now
really
you
cool.
can relax around him and just have a good time and not have to worry about the pressures there.
Although I know he's listening to this and he's pissing me off recently. He's so annoying sometimes, but
Nice. To your point, I think the site creates some sort of interesting boundary, that like, I don't know, it seems to cause you to approach the relationship different. For me, the thing that I like the most and was surprised about is it seems to put a lot of honesty towards the front of the conversation. Whereas I feel like the swiping apps are a bunch of games and a lot of time spent playing coy or don't reply for a long time. It's like, I know you have your fucking phone. Like, Whereas I felt like seeking, especially as a guy on a swiping app, and I've moved, so I've been in smaller or medium-sized places, you just do not get that much activity on those apps. Whereas on seeking, I think to your point about moving too fast or whatever, I was only on there for 1 month. And the first, I think, 10 days or so, I definitely had that like kid in a candy shop, or just like, it's like overwhelming. I mean, I've never, as a guy on other apps, I've never experienced that type of responsiveness.
Yeah, the responsiveness is definitely what we talk about all the time, which was a refreshing change for me, because after hours and hours of swiping and never really making matches, making a match with somebody, and then you dive deeper into their profile and you're like, oh, I guess I
Yeah.
should have swiped more of their photos. But when I signed up for Seeking, which here's the news, I got suspended. They suspended my account.
Recently?
Yeah, yesterday.
No way.
Well, I did this Vibe. Have you ever done? You know what the Vibes are there, Pete?
I know they are, but I haven't done.
Yeah, they're
I'm
kinda-
not, I'm not active right now, so
Yeah, they're stories like Instagram or Facebook, and you can just do a quick little video or a photo, just kind of give the users a more personal view of you. So I had my microphone in my office, and I actually was releasing an episode on Tuesday, and I said, "Hey, I'm releasing an episode tomorrow. Check it out. We actually talk about these vibes on. You'll be interested to find out, do they work or don't they? So listen to the episode." Well, this girl from California starts laughing at she like sends me these laughing emojis, and I was like, "Was my vibe funny to you?" I was confused, right? And she goes, "Oh, blah blah blah." She said something, and her English was terrible. Like her English was like the hood, like she lived in Compton or something. I don't know.
Compton's gentrified, by the way, just for our listeners.
Okay, well I don't.
It's nice now, but yeah, we get it.
You get it, right? So anyway, so she's starting to get rude, and I don't know if that's just her way. But she's starting to get rude, so I block her. Well, then she must have reported me because then, like half an hour later, they suspended my account. So
That's ridiculous. You just got to reach out and get it back.
Well, yeah. So I've already reached out, but I mean, I've paid for 3 months. I've been a paying member since 2016.
It's so ridiculous to me. But you know what? This conversation made me have an epiphany.
What's that?
I want to get back on the site.
Why?
I want to go back on the site, but I want to do it differently. You know how they say, it's not guns who kill people, it's people. It's not, to me, I got off the site because I was like, there's something weird and toxic about this. I was jumping into these things way too fast and like way more easily bought, right? And I think what I want to do this time
You were
is
swayed by the money? That's what you're
definitely.
saying? Yeah.
And I think what I want to do this time is I want to get back on the site, find friendships, and then develop those. And then when we get to a point where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm really into you. Then we can talk about some type of arrangement. But I want to take it slower. I feel like
Would you expect money though from the get-go?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
well, so,
I don't-
okay. Well,
I don't
that's
think
fair.
Yeah.
Pete, that's fair, right?
seems fair to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I would. It would
know.
be a nice touch, but like, I'm not gonna have that conversation.
Yeah.
As long as they're not expecting me to like be their girlfriend, then if it were just friends, like how I would reach out to you, maybe.
Yeah.
Like we don't really talk very much, but when we do, we have a great conversation. So I think I want to do that instead.
Well, it'd be an interesting experiment.
Yeah, because nobody does that nowadays. It's like you go on a date or two, you talk about what your expectations are, and then it's like, someone's like, well, I want this, and then someone's like, well, I want that, and then it's like,
You're talking about the allowance?
Yeah.
The arrangement?
Allowance, talking about intimacy, whatever,
Oh,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, when are we going to get to it, right?
Yeah.
Both
Yeah,
parties are like, let's just start.
I can see where some guys are wanting to like lock this down. Like, let's get through this part.
Yeah.
and,
It's awkward, right?
I mean, I don't know. It hasn't been that terrible for me, but it's had its moments, where it's like, oh, okay.
All right. So you've identified somebody that you want to meet. How do you take it from there?
I mean, I wasn't on there long enough to get like a system. I was kind of starting to hone in on that, and your guys' podcast has helped me with that a little bit. But for me, I think I'm just kind of honest as a default way of approaching things. So from my perspective, if I was back on the site right now, I would probably try to understand, like, what are we both looking to get out of this? How, like, is it any sort of fit? I mean, I think to Kimmy's point, that doesn't leave as much room for feeling each other out a little. So I think that there is something to be said about balancing that, where not just jumping straight to the money, but feeling out how you guys, get along or interact, first. I would say that's how it went with the current, these terms that I don't know if I agree with, but my current sugar baby in my arrangement, it started out, talking about, she had some stuff on her profile that caught my attention. We shared some messages about that. And then it kind of naturally found its way around, not in maybe like 3 to 5 messages to like, hey, what are you kind of looking for? I feel like.
Mhm.
So I think that has worked well for me. But like you, Marcus, I think I lost $500-700 on either like scams or other sites, like some learning, some learning fees.
So how did that happen?
Well, first of all, once I figured out that I was willing to pay, I didn't only sign up for Seeking, right? I tried like a couple of different sites.
Oh, okay.
So I probably spent like maybe $300 on random site fees, I would guess. And then there was one woman that I was supposed to meet up with, and I think I got caught in the giving gifts before we meet trap, So did a little bit of that. I mean, it wasn't anything too expensive, a couple $100.
So there's another site that's been asking me to promote them. They gave me a free month trial, and I'm trying it out. And I really want it to be good, and I want it to work. It just sucks so far. And I had one girl who, and I'm just kind of going through the motions, right? And I kind of knew it was a scam, so I played along. And but she was so willing, like everything, like, oh, I'm waiting on you. Just tell me what time to meet. So I told her this time. She goes, yeah, where do you want to meet at? And I told her. So like, okay, all right. So I need $90 or $100 for the babysitter. Yeah, there's no babysitter.
Here's what I'll say. If it is that, then just say, you know what? I'll have it for you when we meet.
Right.
Something like that.
No, but the babysitter needs it up front.
Oh, whatever. That's
yeah. So there's that, and these are small scams, but if they do those, 10 times a day,
yeah,
adds up.
I feel like for me at least, and I'm not saying this with any level of like bragging or anything, but I learned real fast. Like you can, like to your point, I feel like you can feel them out. Like if you're trying to transfer money or anything like that before anything's even happened. And frankly, the sugar baby who I'm in an arrangement with, once we got to talking and stuff, she was like warning me about the way the scams will work.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really funny. She's like, oh no, you seem cool. Don't do this. Get a fake number. You know what I mean? Like she's like funny. Telling me all this stuff. And I was like, I'm like over here taking notes. I'm like, all right, check.
Yeah. Well, we do discuss all of those items, previous episodes. How did you find us?
Well, I'm a bit of I don't know the right way to describe it, avid learner, I guess. So once I decide I want to know about something, I just dive in. So once I found Seeking and kind of started to understand, I mean, I didn't even really fully realize sugar dating was like a thing, until I started to kind of look into other forms of paid companionship, right? And then like, oh, okay, there's some differences or different things. And then I just did some searching and found your podcast. And I have a dog and I love to walk when I take breaks at work. So when I decide to listen to something, I kind of chew through it pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, we've got quite a few episodes now.
I think I'm like fairly caught up. I mean, I don't know that I've listened to every single one, but I've definitely listened to.
We need to go listen to every single one and boost our numbers. We actually just hit #1 in Cape Verde.
Oh, where's that?
I don't know where that is.
I had to look it up too. It's a series of islands consisting of about a little over 500,000 people off west coast of Africa.
Oh my! Well, you know what? Now, since we're talking about random places,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to pay a shit ton of money in taxes this year.
Yes, you are. For our listeners who aren't already aware, Kimmy has done very well with the OF platform.
Yeah.
A lot of money I'm going to have to owe. And therefore, I decided that I will be spending 6 months of next year in Dubai.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
I will not be paying taxes next year.
Yeah.
That is not happening. Or Dubai or I heard Costa Rica is also taxes exempt.
But everybody I've ever met that have tried to escape the taxes, they encounter other issues where they just really miss the States.
I mean,
I get it.
I can make it work anywhere.
I know.
But I'm not exactly sure what I want to do because I thought about it. I'm like, well, here in Scottsdale area, it's really hot for May till September-ish, right? So maybe those months I could go to Dubai. Well, now I'm looking at Dubai. It's like 130 degrees during those months. It's like not even better. So it's just worse. And then I don't know about Costa Rica, but yeah, that is one of my goals for
Mm-hmm.
this next year is
Well, we'll
escape taxes.
we'll see if you actually do that.
Wouldn't it be awesome?
I mean, I've been kind of somewhere between like digital nomad and location agnostic for the last 10 years. And I mean, it's got its pros. You can make moves like that to dodge certain things. But at the same time, I don't know, it's hard to get a sense of community or
Right. You
friends
do
nearby,
you
so,
might you might dodge some taxes, but you lose. I mean, it's not like you can go to a concert that weekend and
yeah.
a festival, or it's just your friends. There are some things missing. I know.
Just find a way to take advantage of all the legal.
Well, I know one of the
reductions.
Bilzerians moved to St. Kitts
Mm-hmm.
and
Well, yeah, but they
To-
also just.
renounced his citizenship.
That's the
and,
problem. I'm not going to renounce my citizenship.
Well, and he went on record too saying he regretted that decision.
yeah,
so-
I don't. I'm sure I can keep my U.S. citizenship.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, I was born here.
But your state will tax you worldwide anyway. So if you're gonna leave the U.S., the trick is you first need to go to like Florida, Wyoming, Washington, or something like that. Live there for 6 months so you can get a driver's license, and then when you move out, then at least you're not getting your state tax. And then there is a federal exemption for overseas money. But if you move, like say, like I'm originally from Minnesota, and their state tax is a little high, like 7% or something. So if I lived in Minnesota and then I moved directly from Minnesota to say Europe or something and started making money, Minnesota would still collect tax on my income. So there's some trickiness.
Do you got
to it.
any advice for that, Wyoming?
Wyoming, no. Texas, maybe Texas. I don't have a state income
Yeah,
tax.
Texas would be a good option.
Anyway,
Dear God.
we'll talk to Kimmy further on that. So tell us about this current arrangement. You met her on the site?
Yep, I met her on Seeking, and like when we first met, we had just a meet and greet. I had like one drink, met for like an hour and a half, chatted. Seemed like it was a good fit. I'm in the process of moving, so she's actually in Denver, and I'm not in Denver. I'm in the mountains in Colorado. So I'm actually moving back there in a few weeks. But so we only see each other, once or twice a month max, kind of.
Wow, you only see her a couple times?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, a lot of moving parts coming out of my last couple of years. So, I mean, I frankly don't really have the time to be on tons of dates and stuff. But no, we get along really well. It's like a non-monogamous thing. We've talked about that.
So you're both free to live your lives. And what's the age difference?
I'm 38. She's 29 or 28, maybe.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Either 20 or 29. So it's not huge, but there's a little bit of a difference.
Did you have a lower limit when you looked at girls on there, women? Like a 19-year-old reaches out to you, are you entertaining it?
No, that's not going to work for me. I think I have a lower limit, like just personally. Like I'm not judging anybody, but for me, I know what I was doing when I was 21 and 22, and I don't know. It seems a little bit of a stretch.
Kimmy, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, even if they're as mature as Kimmy.
I mean, maybe. I'm not saying it can't work, and I'm zero judgment for me. But for me, I just think 19 would be for sure too young. I think my hard limit would probably be like 21, but I didn't specifically seek that out.
Yeah. Well, I do get messages from that age range quite a bit. I did meet somebody a few years ago. She said she was 20, and then come to find out she had literally just turned 18 like the week before.
Oh, oof.
Yeah.
That's, oh God.
But you know what? I really, we got along fabulously. She was pretty mature mentally, and I don't know, it was just one of those things where we just really enjoyed each other when we were around each other and stayed friends for a long time. So
here's the thing that happens to me all the time in person. This happened to me on Christmas morning on the beach. I had just driven about 6 hours to California, LA area from Scottsdale through the night, got there right for sunrise, and there was only one other car on the beach, and it was this nice Range Rover. And so I pulled up next to it to watch the sunrise, and there was these two guys in the car, and they were looking at us. We were looking at them. I gave them a wave just to be friendly. And they just started to talk to us. And one of the guys was from Dubai. One of them was from Scottsdale, which is awesome. So we just all started to talk and get along. And the guy was taking photos of my brother and I. And then afterwards, he gave me his business card because he wanted me to call him. And I look like shit. I don't know why he wanted to do that. I was wearing sweatpants and the sweatshirt I was wearing for 3 days straight. And my hair was a mess. I'd just driven 6 hours. I was not okay. Anyways, so I'm looking at his card, and he actually owns a ton of these like rehab half house clinics. He's a doctor, and he's 42. And he did not think I was 21, but yeah.
I will say, I think it's impossible to judge a woman's age in real life. I mean, I don't know how to guess that number appropriate without some other context clues. I think, and even those, I think, can get pretty blurry.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, all the info what he had was that the way I look, I drive a Porsche. He probably thought I'm.
Did he think your brother was maybe your boyfriend or something?
He did for a second, and then he said something, and I was like, "Oh, that's my brother." Because people always assume that's my boyfriend, and I'm like, "Dear God."
Well, it's age appropriate.
Yeah.
He looks older.
My sister and I used to get that. I mean.
All right, so tell me about the girl that you met. So is she still active on Seeking?
Well, no, actually, a month ago when we were hanging out, she informed me that she kind of left the site because she found some of what she was looking for. So I think she's in an arrangement with me and one other guy.
And you're fine with that?
So I don't know if this is like the right way to think about this. When I was first figuring out sugar dating and stuff, I mean, I don't know, it just really made me start to question, like, okay, what am I bringing to the table? Like, what am I willing to offer in a relationship right now? Because I don't feel like I'm quite ready to dive back into something very committed. So once I kind of let go of that, I don't know. I'm not like, I've gotten in trouble with girlfriends in the past. I'm not like an inherently jealous person. So like if I was out with a girl and then some dude sitting on her at the bar or whatever, I just would think that shit is entertaining. Like it doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
I'm the same way.
I actually like it. It shows my girl's attractive to other people.
Well, and I think you've touched on this before, Marcus, but you're already kind of behind the curtain at that point. You're already a little bit in the loop on what, like you're gonna get the story like, oh, that guy's a douche or like whatever, whereas like, it's not really like a direct threat, I don't feel like. And I just think we're not in an arrangement that has like an allowance, like because we don't really know how often we're going to hang out and stuff. So we're just pay for me,
Right.
And
which makes it easy. It's clean.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it works great for us, at least. I mean, she seems very happy. I'm happy with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But then she was like, if you don't want to talk about this is cool. But I did kind of ask just a little bit about like, oh, why did you choose to leave? Because she mentioned it to me, like she explicitly brought it up. I didn't ask. So then I was like, oh, what made you make that choice? And she's like, well, I mean, she said right away, she's like, if you don't want to talk about this, let me know. But she was like, I met this other guy, and between you guys, I kind of have what I need right now. And she has a job and stuff. So it's not like, I don't think any of us have infinite time, So she, I think, is getting what she wants out of it. And from my perspective, I mean, I've got like, we've kind of just planned ahead. So, I mean, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really bother me that much.
Yeah, I find that a lot of the girls on the site, they like to have 2 to 3 guys that they can kind of see at any time. Some obviously more than others, but I think for them, it's the same as us. They get different things out of every person, just like I get different things out of different people. And so I love it, though, when it gets to that point where they're open enough to tell you about it. Because I found myself getting immediately jealous, like for the first 15 seconds. And then I start really enjoying them as they open up and tell me about it. And then it makes me actually feel better because I know that I'm not being a douche like that guy.
Yeah.
Well,
and it helps me learn too what girls are finding attractive about men and what is turning them off.
yeah. I mean, not to overly praise you guys, but you guys really taught me a lot just in terms of the dynamics. And because you have sugar babies and sugar daddies on the show, you're sharing both sides of the coin a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helped to paint a more complete picture for me of what what the sugar bowl is like, I guess, and what people are looking for or what people's needs are. When I got divorced, I did a bunch of therapy. So I'm a lot better now at stating what I want and need.
Why did you go that route?
Which route?
Therapy.
Well, truthfully, when our marriage was dissolving, I was like so angry and didn't really know what to do with it. And my wife and I, the communication had fully broken down. Nothing was traveling back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It was frankly just out of pure desperation. I mean, I couldn't think of another plan that was better. So I reached out to somebody and kind of started a therapy journey. And I mean, it's been really good for me.
Good.
I learned a lot about like my family upbringing and how that kind of creates some blind spots or a lot of tendencies, It's worked well for me, but I think what I was kind of getting to is just that we have been upfront about what we need and expect with each other. And that makes it really easy. Like when she brought up that she had met somebody, she's like, "Are you okay with that?" But I actually, 2 or 3 months prior to that, we had this conversation. If it was working for both of us, jealousy, what that looked like, whatever. We were just having an open conversation. So then when she did end up saying she found somebody else as well, it was just easy. She's like, "Are you okay with that?" or whatever. And I was like, "Well, we've kind of already talked about this. She's a beautiful girl. She's sexy. I was like, it's not, eventually somebody else is going to be interested sooner than later, probably. So to me, I felt like I knew it was coming, and we were all clear about what we needed. So for me, it was all good. I mean, I don't think I can give myself fully emotionally to anything right now. So for me, it's like, why would I want to? I'm not trying to like own this person's time or life or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a different feeling or different thoughts that go through your head when that person is actually not replacing you. They're just adding on to their life.
Yeah.
I think the biggest fear that we have in traditional dating is that they're going to meet somebody and then we're out the door and they're replacing us.
Yeah.
And so
This
men
actually-
get desperate and they, why are you not answering my text? Who are you with? They start getting very jealous. But if you can get to that point where you're okay with them feeling free, the woman that's going to stay with you is the one that feels the most free.
Yeah.
And I would say vice versa. That's the same way.
Mhm.
For example, with my husband, who last episode I talked about how he moved in my complex, right?
Yeah.
The girls at the leasing office love him. They're obsessed with him. Every time I go in there, they are asking me they don't understand. They're asking me for advice because they want to talk to him. They like him. And I'm like, and they don't understand like I have like a little thing going on, right? And so what I've been doing is I'm like, you know what? Shoot your shot. And he knows that I'm like that. So much so that I got them presents for Christmas. And I asked him and his business partner, they both live in a 2-bedroom. And I was like, hey, you guys, I'm going to put can I sign these gifts from the both of us? Because I want them to all, it's kind of like when you go to like a family event and, you put everyone's, right? And they were like, sure. And the leasing office has been thanking him for the gifts and not me. And I'm like, you know what? This is awesome because he just separated from his like ex and they're not even finalized their divorce or whatever, right? And I just know and he's been with her for 10 years. I'm like, you just deserve more freedom. Like just go be free. Because that's what I'm doing. Celibate basically to everyone else. But I have been hanging out with guys and making friendships and yeah, so I'm like, just go make friends, may have connections. And I think he doesn't understand it because he was just in a marriage for 10 years.
Right.
So
it doesn't make sense.
To him, it doesn't make sense. And I think he's like confused as to why I would be so okay with this scenario and even kind of egging it on. But I'm like, I just want you to feel freedom. And, I think it's a very important thing. And it's very rare nowadays for people to be that okay with other people being interested in the person they're interested in.
So-
Yeah, I think for me, I was in my 20s when I was like dating around or, serial monogamy type of thing. I think I was always kind of a little curious about like non-monogamy or just like how people handle that or how they get in, how they manage those types of relationships. So when I discovered, sugar dating and it was a little more, that seems to be a little more common, for me, I was like, oh, this is a good fit just because I just naturally don't, to your point about the freedom or stuff, there's some sort of switch that flipped after I got divorced where I was like, okay, literally everything is temporary. So once that happened, I'm not trying to fully take possession of anyone or anything. It's more like it's easier. Frankly, I think it's a lot more fun it keeps the dating part, I think, a little bit more alive, when you don't feel like you're fully safe, fully like locked in. It's like, no, this is as long as it keeps working for everyone, and I mean, to me, that takes effort. I feel like.
Yeah.
So
And Pete, I agree that like, I think that what's meant for, and Pete, everyone says this, what's meant for you will be, it's so much easier to say than to fully become that. But once you do become it, it becomes so freeing. It's like, you don't have these expectations for people. And, when you feel chosen by somebody where you've even given them other options, then it's much more real than, no, you're mine. You can't, because then it's their free will and it's so much more real than.
Yeah, you're kind of choosing over and over again, not just the one time.
Yeah. And I think that's what real connection and like a real relationship should be based off of. It should not just be like right off the beginning, you meet someone, you go on 2 dates, back to back. And then you're like, well, if I saw you out with somebody else, like then it's over. No, it's like go explore and see what's out there. And the whole thing where it's like people are like they don't believe in breaks because it's like, well, they just want to see if there's anything better, and if they want to see if there's anything better, then they didn't choose you, so you're not meant to be with them. That's it. Why do we have all these stupid rules about like who said that? No one said that. Just let people be free and figure themselves out. No one. And
I think for me, I'm not trying to speak for anybody else, but for me, it really became a lot easier once I was more confident in myself.
Yeah.
Like just not even confident, more comfortable, I think. Just not worrying about comparing myself to others or like, do I bring everything to the table? I mean, in my marriage, one of the big stressors for me was that my ex seemed to want me to be like a dozen different people. And I was like, well, I'm just this one guy. So be prepared to be disappointed. And so like, and I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not willing to try or put effort in, but it was like, I can't do literally everything and go keep a job that pays well and all this other stuff. I'm like, this is getting exhausting. So for me, I think once you accept or really come to terms, I think, with who you are and what you do bring to the table and what you don't, for me, it's a lot easier to maintain those boundaries and then to, like you said, Kimmy, like be willing to let people come and go. I mean, if my current sugar baby like texted me right now and was like, hey, this is over, I mean, I'd be pretty sad. Like we have had a good thing going. We definitely have a bit of a connection that isn't only within the arrangement. We both talked about it. We enjoy each other's company. We've gone on dates that don't really involve physical. It's more like a regular date. You know what I mean? We just go do stuff, whatever. And we've had tons of fun. So I would be sad for sure. But I also don't think it's reasonable to try to monopolize somebody like that, I guess.
As we're wrapping up, I'm just curious, how many people did you meet?
I think I went on like 3 meet and greets. There's 2 others that I was going to, but then this kind of worked out. So I kind of backed off a little bit on my side.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one that was a bit of a scam. So I got, wasted some time on that.
Oh, yeah? What happened there?
That was the one I was mentioning before. Just, she wanted some stuff ahead of time. And so I like, grabbed her a couple of things off of whatever that wish list feature is or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like the day before our date, she disappeared or whatnot. And I don't know. It is what it is. I mean,
some dude in his mom's basement got a couple nice things, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know what he's gonna do with. I don't know exactly what that guy's gonna do with the things I sent, but best
Yeah.
of luck, I guess.
Yeah, who knows? Well, we really appreciate you checking out our podcast, and hopefully you've gained a little bit of knowledge of some of the mistakes and successes that we've had. And
Definitely.
we appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your short time as being a sugar daddy.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, even though I'm not I don't know, I'm not a professional or I haven't been doing this all that long, But
Well, are
loving
any
you.
of us professional sugar daddies? I don't know.
I don't know.
I think
I
we
mean,
just took a different way of dating because, like you, my time is valuable. I don't have time to be swiping. I was pretty disappointed with where I was getting, and so I'm like, I'll bribe a girl to go out with me if I have to. And then I found that the girls actually were looking for something of substance. Most are. I mean, some are just looking to pay a bill here and there, which you kind of you figure that out in the vetting process. But there are so many quality, good people on there that just want an older, successful gentleman that has his shit together.
I mean, yeah, for me, I think I don't know. This is my own experience, and not trying to put anybody off of marriage for sure. But for me, it would take like 10 or 12 years at my current sugar burn rate to just pay for my divorce.
Oh, wow.
Not even all the money wasted during the marriage. So for me,
So
I'm
you're
like, I don't
looking
know.
at this as a bargain.
I was like, yeah, this is cheap.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, at least, like I said, at least there's some sort of a shared understanding of what will be spent or given, going into it. Whereas
Yeah.
I think my ex just viewed it as a bottomless pit,
Yeah.
you know?
All right. Well, Pete from Colorado, thank you very much. Kimmy,
Thank you.
you looking
Nice to
lovely
meet you
today. You
both.
had a lot of great things to say.
Thanks.
We appreciate you coming in. And if you want to share your sugar dating stories or questions or comments, go to our website at secretsofasugardaddy.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram where we play fun little clips of upcoming episodes. And also check out some of our links on our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com. All right.
I did meet with your friend, Maria. So I think people should do that. She said she's only had a couple of people talk to her.
Oh, I thank you very much. Yes, we do throw that ad in almost on every episode now. So go to our website and click on her ad. And basically, Maria is a PhD student. She's doing a thesis or some kind of a paper on the sugar dating, and she really needs to talk to some sugar daddies to graduate. So to get that done. So please, I did it. Pete did it. It was easy, right? It was
Yeah,
fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I appreciate you giving that plug in to her because she is giving us a little bit of money every week to plug that, and we appreciate that. And definitely go contact Maria and just give her your opinion on sugar dating. All right, until next episode. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.